I told you there'd be Frieren Fridays, even though the show was done. You know what? We are, the journey might have ended, but we are going beyond Journey's End by seeing what's going on in the manga. So, I will be covering things from chapter 61, which is, the anime stops at chapter 60. So, chapter 61 is completely new material if you've only watched the anime like I did. So I will be covering events from chapter 61 through 92, because that is currently as far as I've read, which means I'll have at least one more Frieren Friday next week. I'm expecting and hoping to be caught up by then. I might kind of be like, I'm going to take it a little slow. We'll see how it goes, but wanted to go and get that out of the way. So, of course, full spoilers for anything during that period. So, the first thing, their first adventure was they were encountering these crystals, and they talked about how, okay, what the crystal does is it completely, cancels mana and magic. So, Frieren is basically useless, Fern is basically useless, and I really liked this, because we were just after the magic exam, showing how powerful everyone is, and pretty much just ignoring Stark for almost an entire arc. And it was kind of nice to have a chapter where Stark really gets to be the hero. There's a point where they end up falling into a cave, and there's all these crystals everywhere, and I'm also thinking while I'm reading this is going to look so fucking good when the anime comes back. When season 2 happens, hopefully, eventually it does, fuck, this is going to be such a pretty first episode. But there's a point when Frieren's like, okay, we're in the cave, I can't do shit, I'm just gonna take a nap. And Stark is kind of freaking out. He's like, I know I'm strong, I know I'm the warrior of the team, I'm the vanguard. Shouldn't you, I don't know, be a little more alert? Even if you can't cast, do you really trust me? Yeah, I do. The reason I'm able to sleep so soundly is because I trust you with my life. 100%. And it was just a really sweet sentiment. They also talk about how the crystals are, worth an exorbitant amount of money. How, in addition to just, nullifying mana, you could also use it to kind of, seal your mana inside to use it when you need. I just always like shit like that, so I thought this was a really neat chapter. Not long after that, we end up meeting Werbel again, because that was one thing I was saying while watching the Mage Exam arc, is, we are getting introduced to a lot of new characters. Are they important? Is it just cool, you met a bunch of people and just kind of with Sign, you're gonna spend some time with them and then they're really not gonna show up, they're not gonna be important? Spoiler alert, spoiler, I already kind of said that. Sign has not appeared, at least where I am. I don't know if he's going to appear after this arc. I have no idea when he shows up again, if he shows up again, but I haven't seen him. But I've seen a lot of these Mage Exam characters. So it's oh, okay, this wasn't just one-off shit. They do come in and out of the story. So Werbel is talking about how he and his, the rest of his Team Rocket trio, we're going to go up north. I'm going to separate from them. I'm going to go fight some more demons. Stark, I would love you to be in my party. You are a bad dude. We need people like you. We need strong warriors. And you're just a good guy as well. You would be a great companion. And then earlier in the chapter, Stark and Fern got into some kind of squabble. I don't remember what it was about. And Frieren's like, maybe these two aren't as compatible as I thought. Maybe they're not as compatible as I hoped. And Fern is thinking that, hey, maybe Stark is going to leave. Maybe he's going to go with people who seem to appreciate him maybe more than I do, or maybe I don't show it as much. And she talks to him. Stark's like, I'm not going anywhere. Do you remember when we first met? You remember the village with the dragon? You, Fern, are the one who encouraged me and inspired me. I would still be sitting in that village unsure of my own strength. And to be fair, I'm kind of still unsure of my own strength. But I would still be sitting there if it wasn't for you. I'm not leaving you. I'm a little offended that you think I would, but yeah, I'm not going anywhere. And I really like that one too. One of the next things is we get some lore. We get to hear about the hero of the South. So back when there were still 7 sages of destruction, all 7 of them teamed up to fight this one dude because apparently they talk about, he's like, this is the greatest, like, warrior, the greatest hero humanity has ever seen. Himmel is him. Himmel is the one who defeated the Demon King, but the hero of the South, and I don't remember if we actually learned his name or not, but he's like, this guy was a fucking problem. And when they fought 7 Sages of Destruction at the same time, he killed 3 of them. So he killed 3. Frieren and her party killed another 2. And there were 2 that Frieren's party didn't fuck with who were still alive. One is Aura, who is very much not still alive. And the other is Mocked, who is a major central character in the arc I am currently in. And I'll get to that arc in here in a little bit. But, he's talking about how badass this dude is, how this dude could see into the future. One of the Sages of Destruction could see into the future. And he talks to Frieren and he essentially tells her, Himmel is going to change your life. It is a journey. I think he at first asked, he's like, do you want to help me fight demons and the Demon King? No, not especially. Okay, that's fair. Besides, you're going to meet someone else and they're going to need you more than I do. And you're going to help them do it, and it will change your life forever. And I really like that. There's also a bit, I am getting a little ahead of myself, but there's a bit when we see Mock's memories, and we see the other Sage of Destruction that could see into the future, and they're talking about, like, okay, we gotta go fight the hero of the South. This dude is a fucking problem. We need all 7 of us. And then he starts talking to Frieren, who is watching Mock's memories, and is like, okay, Mocked, I am going to fucking delete this battle, the upcoming battle. I'm going to, like, obscure it and delete it from your memory, because I don't want Frieren seeing it, because if she sees it, demonkind as a whole will be gone. I was like, what the fuck? That was kind of wild. I really like that scene. That's kind of it for that. One of the next adventures is the hot spring. So Stark talks about how Eisen told him about this hot spring. And he's like, dude, so it's like the secret hot spring. You got to go really out of your way for it. You got to fight some monsters. I really want to go see it. You know, like, it sounds like it's going to be a good time. Like, it's a big adventure. And Fern is humoring him. Like, all right, we can do it. And Frieren's like, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it, but sure, whatever you want, Stark. Or Stark. Because Clay has been watching the dub, and I've been watching it kind of off and on with him, and I actually like the dub voices now, like hearing them in context, but it bothers me that his name is Stark, S-T-A-R-K. Now, granted, it's Japanese, so it might be actually the way it's spelled in Japanese is more like with a she, so it's like, it actually is Stark. But it's weird seeing it spelled without an H and it's always pronounced with an H. It's just, because even when I hear it in Japanese, I don't hear Stark, I hear Stark. I don't hear the H. It's, anyways, point. So they go on an adventure. They fight a big dragon. I think it was a 3-headed dragon. I was like, are they fighting King Ghidorah? Which I just watched the new Godzilla movie last night. I'll do a video on that tomorrow or something. I won't get into the whole details for it, but short version, the movie is dumb as hell, and I had a great time. It's, if you just want to go watch a silly-ass monster movie, go see it. If you want something that's, you want the thinking man's Godzilla movie, the thinking man's monster movie, just skip this one. But anyways, point, they fight this monster, they have to go really out of their way, and they find the hidden hot spring, and it's, like, that deep. It's just a foot bath. And Stark is a little disappointed, but then he's kind of like, hey, but I mean, if it's just like a foot bath, that means we can all use it together. You know, there's nothing like, if it was a hot spring, we probably have to take turns. We can really appreciate this and join together as a party, and this is really nice. And Frieren's like, you know what? I think it is kind of nice. And the sentiment that they give, which I think is something Eisen had said, was, it was a really pointless adventure. We had to go really out of our way. We had to fight this really, like, these strong-ass monsters for this minuscule reward. And it's the more pointless adventures that stick with you. Because you bond over kind of how silly it was, but it makes you just appreciate the people that you're with more. And it kind of reminds me of what Warble was saying to Frieren about how, you know, you got all these big stories of the monsters and the dungeons that Himmel killed and conquered. But it's the little stories of him helping people and those individual anecdotes that really stick with people. And that's why Himmel is beloved everywhere. It's not because of his accomplishments. It's just the person that he was. And it made me think of that, and I like that quite a bit. Let's see. So after that is we get the date. So Fern, like, they're out of town, and Fern's like, hey, Stark, I'm free tomorrow. I mean, I'm like really free tomorrow. Just, I felt like she was kind of hinting that, you know, maybe you should ask me out. Maybe we should do something. And he's like, all right, you want to go on a date tomorrow? And she's very excited. You know, she dresses up. She's adorable. And he's like, you look really good today. But before they go out on their date the night before, he's like, okay, Frieren, I asked Fern out on a date and I want her to have a really good time. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You have any tips? Where should I go? Like, I know Fern, but I don't know where I should take her. So Frieren's like, all right, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. So they do that, they have their date, and there's a point where Stark asks her, like, are you having a good time? Yes, I'm enjoying myself. This is nice. But I know I'm here with you, but this whole experience kind of lacks that Stark feel. And he tells her, it's because I asked Frieren to pick out what we should do and where we should go, because I wanted to make sure it was like curated for you to have a great time. Stark, the fact that you care enough about me to take me out and make sure I have a great time, like the fact that you think about me like that, that's what makes me happy. Like, oh, this is adorable. This is so sweet. Like, I do really like these two, and I like their blossoming relationship. Was there anything else that really happened? No, that was kind of it there. One of the next adventures was the Emperor's alcohol. So they meet this dwarf. I think his name was like Fass. I think it was like Fass. He is an alcohol connoisseur. I think he was a good friend of Heiter when Heiter was still alive, who has been looking for this Emperor's alcohol, which is it's this legendary alcohol. It's like sealed within a tomb. And he's like, Frieren, I need your help with this. No. Please. No, I'll give you a grimoire. Okay. So they're able to find the tomb. They're able to get inside. And Frieren ends up revealing that the reason I was so hesitant to help him is because I know about the Emperor's alcohol. I know the elf that brewed it. It's terrible. She was so excited to make something good, and it was awful. And no one wants that. Like, no one wants to, you know, I didn't want this guy I knew to realize that the thing he spent his life hunting, like his big dream, was worthless, was terrible. But they try it. Everyone thinks it's ass. Because I was reading it, I was like, well, I mean, it's been aged a lot. Maybe it's going to age. It's going to actually be super good. And that's kind of going to be the moral of the story. Like, no, it's dog shit. And everyone has a great time. Like, I remember there was this ad. I think it was like a Geico ad or something. About how, you know, like when you eat something bad, you want other people to try it and you kind of bond over the experience. I think it's specifically with raccoons. Like, dude, this trash is so bad. You gotta eat this. No, come on, dude, try it. And that was kind of the vibe. It's like, yeah, you know, like when you eat terrible food or have a terrible drink, but the whole group does, it bonds you together. And again, kind of like the thing with the foot bath. It's these like pointless adventures and pointless endeavors and these like communal disappointments that make the adventure worthwhile and really kind of bond the group together. So then we get a bit of a mini arc with the Mage Association is doing like I think they call it a subjugation, but it's like it's extermination of some demons to all like the first class mages in the area. Because they're in the Northern Lands, and pretty quickly, like, okay, the Northern Lands are just an absolute shithole. This is why you need a first-class mage, because everything here is trying to kill you, and everything here is really fucking strong. So there's this demon. His name is Revolti, because it's revolt with an E. And he's this General Grievous dude with 4 arms and a sword in each arm. And so my brain, when I read his name, it rhymed, that was kind of fun. I remembered, this is kind of a deep cut. I remembered Revolta, who is the main antagonist of Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, because Revolti and Revolta are very similar, and from what I remember, Revolta also had 4 fucking arms. And I was just kind of giggling the whole time. I was like, okay, I'm remembering her, and I'm also thinking of General Grievous. But there's 2 first-class mages in the area that are working to kill this thing. One of them, I can't remember his name. I know I wrote it. It's like Gano. He was the proctor for their first exam where they had to catch the still. And the other is Method. It's Method with an E at the end, so I think it's Method is how you pronounce it. That's the Ara mage, as I kept calling her. I was like, cool, I know her name now. And they talk about how she is a mage, but she's also a priest. So she's very dynamic, very versatile, very useful. And yeah, she sees Frieren like, Frieren, can I pat your head? No, my head is not for patting. I'll give you a grimoire. You can do whatever you want with my body. And that got a laugh out of me. There's a point where she does the fucking face. You know, the... I saw that look. Like, what the fuck was I doing? But, you know, like the face from Future Diary, she was fucking doing that when talking about how, you know, I think Frieren is really cute. And ferns growing on me as well. Like, I was like, what the fuck? So they're fighting they fight some demon mages, and they have to like get through the fog and fight them and shit. Like, it was all right. I imagine when it's animated, it's gonna look incredible. And Ganao and Stark stay behind, and they fight General Grievous, and they definitely take some hits. Stark is able to give some hits into. Ganao does this spell where like he grows these wings. His wings are like steel. I'm like, oh, Brono's steel wing. That's kind of cool. And there's a point in the fight where Revolta is like, hey, you should check more carefully for survivors. And there's a little kid, so Ganao goes to help the kid, which is a demon in disguise, and fucking shanks him. I was like, that was actually pretty cool. And yeah, he survives, he's fine, Stark is fine, they kill the dude, the mages kill their things. And Method specifically asks Frieren, hey, do you want a 4th party member? Like, I'm a really strong mage, which you guys already have 2 of that. You have a first-class mage, you're Gucci, but you don't have a priest, and I can work as a priest. Would you like me to join? And she says no, because the priest slot is already taken. Like, when we meet up with Sign again, he is rejoining the party, and I don't want that spot filled until then. I really like that. I thought it was really sweet. The Method's like, yeah, well, that's, and I think it was Frieren's like, yeah, also, I don't think Fern likes you very much. She's like, but I really like Fern. Like, oh, she's creepy. This is great. This is actually really entertaining. Yeah, I think that was it for that. There was this other chapter where they meet like this old, I don't remember if he was a dwarf. I think he was a dwarf. Like a dwarf who was building a bridge. And he's been building that bridge since Himmel's adventure. And he finally pays Frieren. I think it was like, okay, we'll help you. Pay us back, like, at some point with Frieren. Like, Frieren will collect our payment. And they talk about how Himmel always accepted payment for his jobs. And I think it was either Fern or Stark who's like, you know, I've always found that kind of weird. Not like they made him an asshole or anything, but given the fact that he was always so generous and always wanted to help people, the fact that he was always accepting payment, like, was, I don't know, it kind of conflicts with my view of him. Like, not, and it's not like he was greedy, but to which Frieren explains, like, well, Himmel always wanted people to pay him for his work, so that way there was no debt owed. So that way it wouldn't be, okay, I helped somebody, and now they feel like they're in my debt, now they have to do all this for me. It's just, I helped you, you gave me something, we're square. It doesn't always have to be something big. Oftentimes it's something small, and like, I would rather it be something small, because I don't want to put someone out, but I want them to feel like the debt is settled, and I liked that quite a bit. There was this one chapter where they get into a town, and Frieren had taken out a loan forever ago, and now she had to pay it back, and so she ended up becoming an indentured servant who had to work in the mines, but she's able to get through that pretty quickly by helping them with the mines. There was one where it's like this natural landmark. I don't remember it as well, and they thought that people were going to fuck it up. Like, I just wanted to make a barrier so people could appreciate it. It was one of those, like, I didn't super click with it as I was reading it. I don't remember why, but I also remember thinking, this is going to look really pretty in the anime. Can't wait to see this in color. It's going to look great. So that's more or less everything from the ending of the anime up to El Dorado. El Dorado is the current big art. I don't want to say current as in like that's what's going on in chapter like 129. I don't know. Maybe it is. But it's where I am right now as of chapter 93. So what this is, Mocked, the last stage of destruction. He has the Midas touch. He can turn shit into gold. He's turned all these cities in the north into gold. And Old Man Denkin is a major part of this arc because his homeland has been turned into gold and he wants to un-King Midas it. Denkin has a very personal connection to Mocked because that was his magic. That was his master. His Mocked worked for, I don't remember his name. It was like Glick or Gluck. I think at different points in the manga, it was with a U, other times with an I, who was actually like this asshole nobleman. Okay, so Mocked was a dude who was very fascinated with humans. He's like, I want to learn about human emotions, particularly malice and guilt. What are these emotions? So he would go to villages, he'd fight people, he'd turn them to gold, he would have people fight each other, so he could try to learn this shit. So he ended up meeting Gluck, like massacred his people, but they became homeboys. He's like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. If you work for me, Mocked, you're going to learn all about malice and you're going to learn all about guilt. He ended up becoming Denkin's master because he was Gluck's, he was like his relative, and then Denkin ended up marrying Gluck's daughter. Then she died and everything. Mocked ended up turning the city and area into gold. There is this stone, what is it called? Like the Stone of Sovereignty or some shit, where it puts him in there under this hypnosis where he has to follow specific orders, which he was already working for them before the stone. And the stone is you cannot like look upon my people with malice. And the guy doing that was Glug. He's like, I know this means nothing for you, but essentially once you learn malice, if you feel that towards us, you will die. And Mocked was totally okay with it. When Frieren knows that Mocked is here, she's actually, as much as Frieren's like, I love fighting demons. I get so happy when it's time to fight demons. She's like, no. He is one of the 11 mages who was beating me. I cannot foresee myself beating him. He is a problem. So right now they are in his memories and learning about his backstory. That's how we know about, I mean, Denkin told him he was his master, but we learned some shit about, I'm getting so tongue-tied. That's how we learn about his relationship with Gluck and all that crap. Is there anything else I really wanted to say? I think that's kind of about it. I haven't finished the arc yet. I'm still in his memories. Like I said, there's this one memory where he and the other sages have to go fight the king of this, or excuse me, the hero of the south. And one of the other sages goes, okay, Frieren, I know you're watching. I can't let you see this part. I thought that was really funny. So that's where I am at with Frieren. That's how it is. That is me going beyond the journey's end. And I'm still enjoying it. I will say, I am enjoying it. I definitely enjoyed the anime more. There's a lot of moments I'm like, I can't wait to see this anime because it's just going to look so fucking pretty. I miss how pretty it looks. I miss just how gorgeous the fighting is. I love the voice acting. I love the music. The music in the show is so good. It does a lot for it. I think the manga is still great. I am enjoying it a lot. Very excited to keep going. Very, very excited for season 2.